Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. We bring you the rising stars of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu here on this show, and this guest today is certainly one of those. You would have seen her tearing up the competition circuit if you've followed Jiu-Jitsu in any way. Today's guest is the 2024 No-Gi Masters 1 Purple Belt champion, the 2024 Pan-Pacific champion, silver medalist at the Asian Open. She was the number one ranked purple belt female in Australia last year. And she just recently also won at Battleground over in Perth a couple of weeks ago. She trains out of M16 and Beachside. She is Vicky Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us, Vicky.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
What does it feel like to win everything you compete in, Vicky?
It was a really good 2024, that's for sure.
That's amazing. What a run. That's a brilliant run, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, you were really putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Have you got a highlight from that? No-Gi Worlds, is that the highlight, or what for you was the sort of the big one?
Yeah, No-Gi World was a massive highlight. And I think I made the decision 3 or 4 weeks out to compete. Because prior to that, I did a grade 2 tear on my pectoral. So right after Pan Pacific, I tore my pec, and I don't know what happened, but I just had this really overwhelming urge to register. So I started to see a physiotherapist. She thought I was doing well with my progress, and I just registered and I went. And it was it happened too quickly to even get nervous, to be honest.
So plan less and just do more. Got it.
Just do more, yes.
But at the same time, though, Vicky, you were competing a lot last year, yeah? I know I went up to the Queensland States. You were there. I think you, like I said, you went to the Asian Championship. You were all around. You were all over Australia. Every comp I would pretty much see you in, even the smaller ones like Grappling Industries. So do you try and keep yourself kind of comp ready most of the time, would you say?
Yeah, no, definitely. I train as if I have something coming up that weekend, so I'm always training really hard. I have a really supportive partner as well who always keeps me comp ready and keeps me super active. So for that, I'm really grateful. But yeah, last year was a really big year of competing. However, this year, I think now as a brown belt, I have started to notice that the pool is dropping. There's not as many people registering, so that kind of freaks me out a little bit. I've already registered for Asia Open in Japan for I think it's June, and and I've registered for Master Worlds. So I'm hoping to get as many competitions as I can leading up to that.
Yeah, I didn't add that into the intro because I wasn't sure. We don't want to take away from your glory, but you are the fiancé of Lachlan Conway as well. Previous guest on the show. Yes. So yeah, we could also, if you're comfortable, talk a little bit about you guys as a jiu-jitsu couple, because that's always an interesting one. Is he your coach?
He's my coach now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has been for the last year.
Yeah. So prior to that, you were under Marcelino Freitas here in Melbourne.
Yes.
And can I ask, so was it love that took you over to Adelaide because you're based in Adelaide now, or how did that happen?
No, it definitely was love that got me here. And I regret nothing. We have a beautiful home here now. And I'm just living my best life with him.
Fantastic.
Give us a rundown, Vicky. How did you guys meet? How did you meet Lockie?
Oh, okay. I would love to. So about 4 years ago, we met at a tournament. I was friends with one of his ex-partners at the time. So we were both dating people. We met as friends. And I think we just kept in touch really not too much, maybe spoke twice in between. And I think it was mid 2023, he had won something on Fusion, and we're both single at this time. And I'm not one to ever comment on anyone's photos. I just don't. But he had his hand risen and he had the most beautiful smile I had ever seen. And I actually slid into his DMs and I said, "That's a beautiful smile you have." And we just spoke every day since. Literally every day since.
Wow. So it was a long distance thing because you were in Melbourne at that time, yeah?
Yes. So it was long distance for June. Well, I only got the house in December, so I officially moved only a few months ago, but I was living primarily in Adelaide. But it was about 6 months long distance, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah.
So men, that is not how we do it. We wait. Don't just slide into anybody's random PMs like Vicky just managed to do. I remember that I was actually at that event, the Fusion event when Lockie was competing. So
Yeah.
I didn't notice his smile. I noticed his bloody good jiu-jitsu, but I didn't notice his smile. He must have been facing away from me, Vicky, I think.
He's got both beautiful style, beautiful jiu-jitsu.
He is a handsome man. He's a lovely guy too, actually. Like, one of the things, Vicky, that I've noticed in the jiu-jitsu world is for someone like me, like an older guy, really into jiu-jitsu and enjoy it, and then I see these guys who really are elite and they compete on these shows all the time. Anytime I sort of go over and introduce myself or say hello, they're always super welcoming. They're always really generous with their time. And I distinctly remember Lockie being like that. So I can kind of see what you're seeing him. He's a bloody nice man. So, and he does
Yeah.
have bloody good jiu-jitsu.
No, he definitely does go above and beyond for all of his students. And just even if he's cross training at another gym, like he will happily give you all the time in the world to go over any kind of technique that you like, really. He's great like that.
Mm.
And so you started in Melbourne with Marcelino. Can you tell us a little bit about the start of your jiu-jitsu, how you discovered it and
Yeah,
all that?
absolutely. So I served in the army for 7 years. So I actually started my jiu-jitsu journey in Townsville. One of my corporals used to upload videos on Instagram with him in his basement and his family just training. And he invited me to come because I'd always comment like, what are these rolls you're doing? They look really cool and athletic and just really, really awesome. So he invited me to his basement, as creepy as that sounds, but to train with his family. And I loved it. But because I was in the army, I wasn't able to really put 100% in because I'd go away for 2 weeks, come back for a week, go away for 3 weeks, come back. So that was at the end of 2018. And then I got posted to Melbourne in the army. So that's when I started with Marcelino. So I was with Marcelino from my very, he gave me my first stripes up until purple belt, really. And I owe everything to Marcelino and that team. They were incredible from the very start.
So you've only really been doing jiu-jitsu for 6 or 7 years. Is that right?
Yeah, I've done 6 full years. There was COVID in between that 6 years.
Yeah.
But this will be, my 7th year now, I think. Going on
Wow.
my
And
7th,
brown belt already. That's amazing. So you have like a real natural talent for this.
I'm okay. I owe a lot of my progress to Lachlan, if I'm being honest. He won't accept that,
Yeah.
but I really do.
I think, did you feel that the army set you up for things like close proximity to people and um, you know how we talk about being uncomfortable, like get comfortable being uncomfortable. Do you feel that the army sort of set you up for that sort of thing, or was that always in you, Vicky? Did you always kind of have that thing of, you know, like we'll call it that tomboyness, you know, where I'm like, I don't care, it was just like let's go to get dirty or whatever it might be.
Yeah, no, I was always a bit of a tomboy growing up. I was a soccer player most of my life as well, like
Right.
up until I think
Yeah.
18. I went to a soccer school. We did 20
Yeah.
hours of soccer every week. So I've always been an athlete and always enjoyed being
Yeah.
outside and being fit. But army definitely helped me be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is
Yeah.
without a doubt, yes.
And
Yeah. That's cool.
can I ask, M16 or Beachside is primarily a no-gi gym, yeah? Do you get to train much gi now, given that, like, if you're going to be prepping for Asian Championship and World Masters, which are gi tournaments, how do you manage that?
Yeah, that was my struggle last year is I competed only in the gi and I was only training no gi. So towards the end of last year, I started training with a team called Aruda under
Yeah.
Leo. So I train
Yeah.
with them now 4 times a week, as well as training no gi and my strength and conditioning. And they've
Mhm.
welcomed me with open arms. Leo is an incredible, incredible, knowledgeable coach. So I feel like I'll get everything that I need training with him the 4 days a week
Yeah.
or maybe 5 days leading up to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
busy. Hey, so can you run us through like a week for you? Like what does your training look like? Like how many sessions are you doing and how much strength and cardio and like give us a rundown on that.
Okay, so Monday morning I'll do strength and conditioning, and then I work I work 9 till 2, and then I'll come back. I'll usually help Lachlan with a private that we have on a Monday, and then we train. And then on the Tuesday, I'll train gi in the morning, work, and then train gi at night. No gi at night. And then Wednesday, I train strength and conditioning. And then I also do striking. So I started to do more striking. I'm doing that twice a week on the Wednesdays. And then lunchtime, no gi, striking, and then no gi at nighttime. And then Thursday, it's just the 2 sessions. But now we've started to do half an hour of gi before class on the Thursdays. And then Friday, strength and conditioning, Saturday, no gi, and then gi at Aruda. So it's a bit of
God, I
training.
feel lazy.
Yeah, it's a bit of training.
Wow, that is heaps.
Mm.
And how about injuries? Have you had any of those or?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've had surgery on both my knees. I've ruptured many of my fingers in the army, especially. I have bulged discs in my neck. I have heaps of injuries. I'm just so used to being injured. It just feels like this is my body now. Yeah.
How do you go with skill retention and knowledge retention? I mean, obviously now being a brown belt, you're probably very comfortable with all the concepts that go around, but training at different gyms and then training gi, no gi, striking, like sometimes it's easier to learn with a specific theme, right? Let's say we're working attached from mount. Well, we can do that with gi, we can do that with no gi, but doing your training at 2 different gyms, the techniques and the learning is probably different, right? So how do you go with your retention?
Yeah, no, this has been a bit of a concern for me because when I was doing gi with Marcelino, I was primarily a top player. Like I didn't really have a specific guard at that time for like the first couple of years. I was just top player. Like hope they pull guard and just stay on top. It was only when last year when Lachlan realized that I had zero guard that we started to really work on my guard. So all of last year was just working on my guard. So now coming back to the gi, realizing I don't have much of a guard in the gi, that has been a bit of a struggle, and that's something that I'm really actively trying to fix. So my retention is getting there, but there is still a bit of a gap in my gi game in comparison to my no gi game. So a lot of time to put into.
Yeah. And something else that I didn't put at the very start with your intro was that you were a fusion champion last year. You're also battleground champion this year. Tell us a little bit about those super fights. Like, how do you prepare for those? Like, tell us about the actual night itself, the nerves and all of that. How does that compare to like a typical like jiu-jitsu tournament?
Probably, I've always been, I think, how do I say, mentally, I have struggled in the past. Like, I remember when I was a blue belt, I would cry before I even got on the mat. I'd have like a tactical cry before I went on, fight, and then have a cry afterwards, and then probably cry again later. Like, it was really overwhelming for me to compete. It took years of that, like, practice. I still get very, very nervous. And the more time I have, to think about it, the more nervous I get, really. So leading into fusion, like I just trained as hard as I could. We stuck to the game plan, and I was just trying my best to stay on top, doing a lot of hits. And then obviously I had my title fight, which I lost by decision, and that was okay. Like I got stuck in a triangle for I think maybe 2 minutes, really 2 or 3 minutes, and the old me would have given up like within the first 30 seconds. Like I've always really struggled. Like once I feel like there's too much pressure on me in the past, I've just given up. So I think like me this year compared to me at the start of last year has changed drastically, like a huge amount. I still struggle with nerves, especially after that loss. It was like 2 weeks later, I had Battleground. And yeah, like I was really like painfully nervous going out there because there's nothing wrong with losing, but I just take losses I take them quite hard. Like I put a lot of pressure on myself.
You and me both. I know the
Yeah,
feeling
yeah.
entirely.
It's
Yeah. It's
hard.
very hard not to, I don't know about you, have that like negative self-talk in your head, or are you pretty good at that? Do you shut that voice down?
I try my best to, and sometimes Lachlan has to be that voice for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not easy. Like I
Yeah.
think I mourned that loss like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not easy,
Yeah.
but That's it took away from my win at Battleground, because it wasn't even that I was happy, it was more that I was relieved.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point, isn't it? Like the practice of winning matches as opposed to the relief of winning matches. I think it's such a, like, obviously if we win a tournament or we win a match, there must be relief there, I suppose. But maybe as we continue through the journey, Link said something about this. Our coach Lincoln said something about this the other day. It's like, you're embracing the grind and then you actually start to seek the grind out. So maybe it becomes more seeking that grind and the results are whatever happens, like it's a byproduct of it, maybe at some stage. But yeah, I mean, for me at the moment too, there's definitely relief if I get to win matches for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
It's interesting that you say that you're so nervous, because to me, you always come across as so composed and you look like very, very comfortable out there when you are competing. So it's, you're either really good at faking it or I don't know, but yeah, you definitely don't show as a specific, like, especially nervous competitor that I can see.
Oh, it's good to know. You definitely fake it until it feels real. But I guess like one example that I can give you leading up to Battleground was leading up to it. Lachlan brought this to my attention. I didn't realize I was doing this. When we were doing leading up to the fight, I was putting myself in bad situations. So I was like, all right, Lachlan, like she's probably going to take me down first. So I need to get better at like defending her mount. Lachlan, she's probably going to get me in this really bad position. So I need to practice getting out of this. Like I was just thinking worst case scenario and had already, without even realizing, accepted bad positions from her. So I think it shows more like maybe leading up to the fight as opposed to when I'm out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Makes
actually a
sense.
really good realization too. With you said about getting through and suffering through that triangle at Fusion. What do you feel was the difference between the Vicky who's going to tap after 30 seconds because like, well, this sucks and the pressure's too much and I don't want to be here anymore, as opposed to continue to work, like, yes, it's just pressure, I need to figure a way out. Is there something that you felt switched? Is that different training partners? What do you feel that might have been?
I think once again, Lachlan realizing that I did give up in certain positions and just putting me in more uncomfortable positions and forcing me to fight through those positions. And even in Fusion, just hearing his voice was like, it made me believe that I could get out.
And what's it like having him as a coach as well as a partner? Like, do you guys try and put on different hats? So, when you're at training, you're the student, and then when you come home,
You're the
back to
boss.
Yeah,
being partners. Yep.
at home I'm the boss. I respect Lachlan so much, so I just act like any other student at the gym, to be honest. Like I
You
try
don't
not to touch
have a
him.
problem, like, because I know, I mean, I'm not the coach of my husband, but it's difficult sometimes for us when we're even just talking about jiu-jitsu and things like that. Do you guys have any issues like that where, you get upset when you're rolling with him and, he gets the better of you or anything like that, or
Oh
you're
yeah,
pretty good?
yeah, no, definitely. He can be the most annoying role ever. He just puts immense pressure on me, and he's so strong. And he's like, "I'm not using strength, but I swear he's using strength."
Yes.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
There have been times I get a little bit frustrated with him on the mats, but I know it's just me
Yeah.
being a
Yeah.
bit cookie.
Yeah.
Do you have any superstitions? Like, are there things that you do um, on the day or anything along those lines the night before, whether it's a competition or a super fight? There's superstitions that you've got?
I like to get my hair braided now. I feel good when I have my hair braided. I feel more confident when I have my hair braided. I don't know if many people say that, but I think that's my go-to.
That's cool. That's cool. I used to have this thing where, like, the first tournament I ever went in, I wore like these black, just normal black boxer shorts, right? And I won. So I'm like, well, looks like I have to wear black boxers every match I ever have. I think I've moved past that now and I don't really care, but I think I had that for a few years. That was like my
Yeah.
only superstition.
What about you, Kim? Do you have one?
Yeah, I also had a pair of lucky underpants that I used to wear. I think I wore them through blue and purple, and then they kind of fell apart. Like
I was going to
they were
say that, Cam.
one
Geez,
pair.
I hope you still haven't got these
Yeah,
ones, mate. You've been
eventually
competing
they
forever.
lasted a couple of years because I would only wear them when I competed. And
Yes.
actually, every now and then I would wear them to training just because if I was in a bit of a rut and I'd had a bad, like, say, week or so, and I was like, oh, I just need to feel better about my jiu-jitsu, I would wear them in training and I would always do well in that.
Put the
And so,
super undies on. Put the
yeah,
super undies on.
but they were hanging on by a thread. I just had to, by the end of purple, I had to get rid of them. So, yeah. And Vicky, do you have any kind of routine that you do leading into a comp? Like you said, like on the actual day, I mean, you said that like you are quite nervous. I think we all are, but what's your sort of go-to on the day of a comp?
I don't like to stay still, so I like to go for a little bit of a walk. I
Hmm.
think what differs me from Lachlan, for example, is like he tapers his training down a lot the week of, and then the day before he does absolutely nothing. Whereas I find that really hard for me. I need to be moving, so I like to just go for a little walk, maybe a little workout, nothing too crazy, but that always makes me feel better going into a competition.
Hmm. And what about like music and stuff? Do you listen to with headphones? Do you like talk to your opponents in the bullpen? What do you like on the actual day of?
Oh yeah, I think that's my problem. I'm too friendly with everybody, and then my friends are like, "It's almost like you compete to make friends." But I don't see a reason to not be nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm very bubbly. I talk to everyone, and if I can tell they're focused, they don't want to talk, I respect that, and
yeah,
I'll give them their time. Not
yeah,
everyone is able to talk, but
yeah.
I remember when I was at Worlds, like I went by myself. I had a girlfriend that I stayed with which was amazing. But when I was in that bullpen, I just started crying, and the girl that I was going to go against in the final came and gave me a hug, and she was just so sweet and so lovely, and I really appreciated that. So she didn't have to do that. So I think it goes a long way being kind to the people that you're, going to
Yeah,
go up against or
yeah,
train.
for sure. For
Mm.
sure.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think that said a lot about jiu-jitsu, doesn't it? Like at World Masters last year, one of our teammates, Alan, who she won the silver medal, and she did amazing. And at the end of the final, the lady she was up against, who won the match, she actually burst into tears on the mat,
Mm.
and Alan literally stopped and went over and like was just hugging her. And we found out after the match. This makes me tear up. Found out after the match, and this is Alan's story to tell, but I'll tell it anyways. So sorry, Alan. But the girl's like crying, and she turns around. She said to Alan, "Like, I'm really sorry that I'm crying, but my mum told me that I'd never amount to anything."
Oh, okay, that's gonna make me cry now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
wow.
she's like, and now I'm a world champion.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
really
wow.
like Alan dealt with it fucking better than I. Yeah, sorry, mate. Like Alan dealt with it better than me for sure. Because I was like, as she's telling me I'm crying,
Yeah,
and
I
Alan's
know.
like, "We just became best friends," as you do, right? But like, what a cool thing for Alan to go through, and then also for that her competitor, the lady who won the final, to go through too, right? But like
Yeah,
that's
wow.
what happens on those jiu-jitsu mats, like at the end of a final or before a match, you're talking to somebody and then you go out and you give the best that you can, and then you're walking off the mat and you don't know where they've come from or what they've been through or how much it took to get there. And
For
then all
sure.
of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this person is amazing. And I could see you for sure, Vicky, how many friends you'd make, walking on the mats and then walking off the mats afterwards too.
Yeah, oh wow. Sorry, I'm crying too after that story. That was a great story. No, definitely. You meet so many incredible people out there.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, and
wow.
you've met your partner through jiu-jitsu as well. So yeah, it really does
Thank
open
you.
up a lot of friendships. Um, Tell us about the day you got your brown belt. How was that?
It was really good. I kind of had my suspicions. Lachlan had made comments about it because I went to go register for a purple belt competition and he said, "You're done with that." So I kind of put two and two together. Um, it was still special. It was still a very special day. At Lachlan's gym, they all hit each other with belts. And I had never seen that before. Like, I had
Mm.
never, and it's a no-gi gym. Where are they getting these belts from? Like, I'd never really seen it before, and I never experienced it before, and I never ran so fast in my life. You're supposed to walk down the line, but I
Yeah.
sprinted. It really hurts.
Yeah.
But it was a very special day, especially receiving it for Lachlan, and especially because he has been such a pivotal part of my jiu-jitsu, like the last year. My 2024 was amazing because of him. Yeah.
How does the grading work? How does he run gradings? Is it something where you're in the hole for a period of time?
Mm.
Is it kind of just a celebration day, or is it a normal kind of day and then you just get handed about? How does it work?
It's a celebration day, so he doesn't have a format of grading. Neither did Marcelino, actually. It was just like when he felt you were ready, he would give you your belt, and there are two. Usually, it's done mid-year and then end of year. Yeah, I guess that's it. It was just a celebration day, really.
Awesome.
A lot of promotions, in December.
Yeah.
December.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. And so what's next for you, Vicky? You said that the Asian Championships coming up and then World Masters. Anything kind of beyond that, or is that your main focus for this year?
So they're my two main focuses for the next 6 months. Like I wanted to really take my gi to another level and just really work on my gi game. But I'm very open to super fights still, I think. I did say that I was going to take a pause from them, but I think after Master Worlds, I'm happy to take on any super fights. I'll do no-gi worlds again as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to compete as much as I can. And I wanted to go to Sydney this weekend. I registered, I paid for my flights, but there's no one in my division. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Welcome to brown belt.
I know. It's
Yeah.
shocking.
They're out there. They're out there. Come on, brown and black female. Get in there and compete, you know? We're here. I hear you. But yeah, I think sometimes you have to go internationally for some of these, especially at the higher ranks now as a female. I'm just not sure that the depth is there in Australian Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just yet. In
Yeah.
5-10 years, there will be a heap more brown and black belt women, but for now, for us, yeah, it's pretty much just the same ones all the time. You just start competing against the same people. So yeah, it's probably the best thing to go overseas, I guess, for you to find other opponents. Yeah, you mentioned so you work. Are you working like with Lockie, or is that a separate job that you have?
I have a separate job, but I also do coach with Lockie as well.
Yeah, it's pretty flexible for you then, yeah, to allow you to do all your training and traveling and stuff like that.
Yeah, I only work the 3 days a week as
Yeah,
well, so it's just part-time, but they are
yeah.
very understanding of and very accepting of my jiu-jitsu. So if I need to take an extra day off, they're happy
Hmm.
to facilitate.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
sort of saying before, Vicky, that you're always kind of ready for matches and you keep yourself ready. I'm going to ask a question that men shouldn't ask women. What do you do in regards to your weight? Do you kind of always sit? Do you have to cut weight? Like, where do you sort of compete?
Yeah, so I've been at a really awkward weight. I would normally sit between high 62, 63. So it's either I go to 66 or drop to 61. I'm just like in the middle. But most of last year I just went up higher. Even for Master Worlds, I went up to 71 kilos just because.
Wow.
Yeah, and then for the gi, I would do 69, even though I was like 63. But I don't mind. I don't
Was that
mind. I guess
because of traveling, because you were worried about fluid retention and stuff like that, or you just
yeah.
couldn't really be bothered with the weight cut?
Yeah, probably more the uncertainty of my body. Like even leading up to fusion, I had to drop to 60 kilos, and
Mm,
that would have been fine. But also my period I literally got my period the day of fusion, so I tend to fluctuate 2 kilos just
yeah,
from that. It is, and having to cut as well is really stressful because I just hold so much more water than I would normally.
yeah.
So to answer your question, the cutting is quite stressful. That's the only stressful part, I'd say. And I have to really
Yeah.
pre-plan. Yeah.
I think I already know the answer to this, but we tend to ask this for most females when we have them on the show. Like, tell me about being a female on the mat in jiu-jitsu. Like, how is it for you? You are a sort of a smaller female as well. How do you kind of manage, especially the bigger guys
Mm.
and maybe people who are going a little bit too hard?
I think like when I first started, I used to just roll with anybody and everybody. But I think I feel comfortable now saying no to certain roles and in a respectful way, because sometimes people don't know how to control their body. Some people just cannot not use strength. And especially because I'm so active in the competition, I don't want to put myself at risk. So I just say in a respectful way, like, do you mind taking it a bit slower, or do you mind maybe I'll play top, you play bottom kind of thing. I have no shame in that. That way it'll benefit us both as well.
Yeah.
They can work on their bottom game instead of just crushing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
happy to
think
speak
it's
up.
definitely it's definitely a skill. We've spoken about this a lot on the podcast. Hey, it's having the ability to sit there and just say to somebody like, no, I don't want to roll, or hey, could we switch? I'll be on the top and you be on bottom, or whatever it might be, or let's do more of a flow roll. It's definitely a skill to be able to do that, and it definitely takes confidence to say something like that to somebody when you do get asked to roll. Because I think, as people like yourself and Kim who have higher belts, it definitely does have a target on you. It definitely does. So like a young 20-year-old athletic guy who comes into the gym with a small amount of training, he can definitely give me a bloody hard time. So it's the same for you guys and, females or smaller men or like old men like me. Like, we have to kind of be smart with who we choose to roll with, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. And also on that, Vicky, like what advice would you give to maybe new females who are coming on, who are in their first, say, 6 months of jiu-jitsu? That's probably the hardest time when you don't have a lot of skills. And also sometimes you don't have the confidence to have that voice to say to them, hey, sorry, I'm going to give you a miss today or whatever. Like, would you have any advice for brand new females?
I guess for me, when I have brand new females, like I take a very protective stance. So I do try to get them to roll with people that I think would be good roles. If I can see that someone is potentially hurting them, like not on purpose, I might say something to them like, hey, like it's her first week, it's her first month, like take it easy kind of thing.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
advice would be to, oh, what would my advice be? Guys, I'm having a blank.
That's all right.
Please cut
How
that.
how do we, Vicky? How do we retain more females in the jiu-jitsu world? Like, how do we retain, like, because they definitely come into the gym. How do we go about retaining more?
I guess like what we do at Beachside is we create a really safe space for all the females. Like I'm very, very proactive in introducing myself, making them feel seen, making them feel heard. I go out of my way to roll with them. I like to create more of a community with the women as well, because like you said, like there are a lot of people come through the doors, but retention is a little bit harder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, it's definitely a male-dominated activity, wherever you are. Like, it's unusual to have even equal numbers of females on the mat. Some gyms will manage that, in particular classes. You'll see like, oh, wow, there's the same number of females as there are males. But I think on the whole, it is a much more male-dominated activity. So, yeah, it's difficult. And I think it's very, very hard, even for people that are more experienced, to speak up and to say, hey, I don't feel comfortable, rolling with you, or I'm going to skip this one for today or whatever. Like, I'm more than 10 years doing jiu-jitsu. Sometimes I still don't like to have to say no to people, but then, yeah, you have to be smart about your training because, yeah, it's not worth the risk otherwise. We're nearly out of time. Do you have any final words for our listeners? Anything else you wanted to say?
Not really. I just want to say thank you everyone for the constant love and support that you all show me. Like even just like posting me or writing comments on my photos that I post. Like it means a lot. So thank you to everybody that does that. And thank you for having me on today, Kim and
No,
Brandon.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey, Vicky, how can people find you? Where's the best way? If they wanted to stay in touch, don't slide into a DMs. It's already done. She's taken. She's engaged. She flashed the ring up on the screen before. But how can people follow you and kind of keep an eye on your progress and all the stuff that you are doing?
I tend to post a lot on my Instagram, which is Vicky Eliana. VICKYELIANA. Yeah. So you can always message
Fantastic.
and ask any questions. Always there.
Awesome. Awesome.
Any
Well,
jiu-jitsu questions? Any jiu-jitsu questions?
Any jiu-jitsu.
awesome. We'll have this episode out in a couple of weeks. So if you could share it on your platform, that would be awesome for our audience. Brentos, did you want to do the wrap up?
Yeah, let's do it. Vicky, thanks again for coming on. Like, you're a very bubbly person. Enjoy getting to know you a little bit more. All the best for 2025 and, making your brown belt debut at some of these big events. I think it's going to be amazing for you, but I also think you've definitely got the team around you. You've got the skill set and the attributes to make it to the top of the podium again, mate. So all the best for that. Thanks, guys, for listening to another episode of Roll or Die. Remember, please like, rate, and share it. Jump on YouTube. This is my thing at the moment. Jump on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube. I think we've got maybe just under 300 subscribers. I reckon it would be amazing if we could get to 1,000 somehow. And by doing that, just jump on, subscribe, watch some of these on YouTube. Because seeing some of the guests' faces, you do see them around the trap sometimes, so they'll become a little bit more familiar to you as well. And especially when we've got some amazing people like Vicky flashing that beautiful engagement ring, mate. It was really nice of you.
And we have actually had all three of her previous coaches on. We have had Lachlan Conway, Marcelino Freitas, and Leo Arruda. So if you want to go back over the back catalogue, you can have a listen to some of those podcasts from previous years.
For sure, yeah. Go back and check those out. Absolutely. We'll leave it there. Thanks again, everybody. Like, rate, share. Tell your friends about it. If you're unsure if somebody's going to like these podcasts, just put like your little earbud in their ear and just play it for them. So that's probably the best way to share it around with them. We will see everybody on the next episode of Roll or Die. Beautiful work as always, Kim. Thank you, Vicky. You're a lovely ray of sunshine, mate. Appreciate you taking the time and coming on. And we'll see you all next week on another episode of Roll or Die.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Don't